Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Johnny Sally here with day number 59 of Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne W. Dyer. One more day to go. I appreciate you for rocking with me this long. If you haven't been around for the full 60-day read through, hey, no problem. Don't beat yourself up. Nobody's judging you. Go back and check out some of the previous ones. And continue to stay tuned because I will be dropping more content. Things are going to start expanding pretty soon in a lot of different areas with how I provide certain information to you, as far as more so YouTube based than IG and FB. TikTok, pretty cool because it's more of a community interaction, but just being real, on Facebook and IG, people ain't looking to be enlightened, they're looking to be entertained. So I'm going to start directing and focusing my energy more so in places that it's received. Might be dropping some other content for y'all in those areas, but we'll see how that goes. In any case, day number 59, Action and Doing by Mother Teresa. There should be less talk. A preaching point is not a meeting point. What do you do then? Take a broom and clean someone's house. That says enough. Mother Teresa, a nun who was a history and geography teacher and head mistress in Calcutta. Mother Teresa was called to leave the convent to help the poorest of the poor and live among them. In 1950, she and her helpers established the Missionaries of Charity. The most effective way to teach anyone what we would like them to know is through behavior, not words. Often, endless hours are spent in conversation, expressing our frustration about what we find objectionable, and verbally exchanging insults and examples of what is so exasperating. The desired change does not materialize, and you still experience the anguish of being mistreated. It may be true on some level that communication is the key to successful relationships. But often, it seems that the more words are exchanged, the less successful the outcome. This can be true with significant others, family members, employers, and employees, even your own children. Mother Teresa, the diminutive spiritual giant who worked daily in the streets of Calcutta, seeing Christ in all of his distressing disguises, as she put it, offers us some profound wisdom in her briefly spoken advice. There should be less talk. There should be more action on your part. Words that are not backed by action become simply a preaching point and nothing more. If you want to make a point, you may need to create a meeting point with new and effective behavior. The old aphorism, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand, applies not only to what you learn, applies not only to what you want to learn, but also to how you wish to be treated. Obviously, you cannot learn how to swim by simply listening to the words of others or watching other people in the water. You must do it in order to know it. And this same concise logic applies to the folly of endlessly exchanging words as your only means of communication. Behavior is the most effective way to communicate with others in your life. My wife and I have always told our children about kindness to all creatures. Yet, the most effective way of communicating this message is in our behavior. Perhaps the most telling example of this occurred on Maui when Marceline and one of our daughters discovered a tiny bird who had fallen from its nest. I recall my wife, who had many important family matters to attend to that day, taking that tiny bird in a shoebox and driving halfway around the island to a shelter that she had called, spending 4 hours in traffic and giving up her day for a little baby bird. She delivered the tiny creature to helping hands, and in so doing, she created a meeting point rather than a preaching point. Our children and I saw love for all creatures in action that day, and the lesson had more impact than any tirade on the subject. When you find yourself embroiled in the futility of word games, that just address the surface of an issue, stop and remind yourself of the great wisdom in Mother Teresa's suggestion. Ask yourself, what can I do here? Instead of continuing to try to make your point. If someone is disrespectful in language, by all means, state your case in words. And then, if the disrespect continues to surface, shift into the action stage or the meeting point as Mother Teresa describes it. Remove yourself immediately from the scene. If you are dealing with an adult, do everything possible to convey your seriousness. Stay away for a week at least. If you are dealing with drunken behavior, don't be an enabler by using more words as your only means of communication. Rather, demand that this person seek help or you will no longer be a part of their life. With children, remove privileges and stick to it when basic rules of decency and harmony are violated. By all means, talk it out. But eventually, you must take the broom and clean the house of another if you are truly going to be of help. Mother Teresa was not a person you could call cruel or uncaring. Her life was devoted to charity and helping the less fortunate among us to have humane treatment. She seemed to know that the way to make this a reality was not to tell others about the importance of virtuous action, but to actually live it. It is not cruel to show with behavior that you will not condone those things you find objectionable. It may be the only way to effect change. Your words, while important, risk being forgotten if they are not followed by action. We all seem to suffer from the inclination to discuss our problems endlessly. We put together committees to study problems and go to the committee meeting to talk about all the reasons that something probably cannot be done. People of action are not inclined to join committees and listen to ad hoc reports. I recall reading about Lee Iacocca, the automotive executive known for his impatience with excuses, whose leadership brought two of the largest automobile companies in the world to a place of preeminence. When he asked his engineers to build him a prototype convertible car, which hadn't been done for many decades, he kept hearing reasons in the form of words about why this wasn't feasible to produce, and what all of the engineering problems were. Finally, in exasperation, he ordered them to just take a car and cut the dang top off of it and let me see it. People of action, those who make a difference in life, those whom we most admire, all seem to know the truth of the ancient wisdom. What you do speaks so loud, I can't hear what you say. I say that again. What you do speaks so loud, I can't hear what you say. Be a doer, and in the process, you will do more to teach others and to bring fulfillment into your life than all the words in the dictionary could ever convey. To implement the advice of Mother Teresa, try the following. Keep in mind that you get treated in life the way you teach people to treat you. Ask yourself if your behavior is inviting any maltreatment that keeps coming your way. Now, there's a double-edged sword to that, because some people won't realize you're trying to teach them how to treat you, and they will begin to step all over you in some cases. And the bad part about that, and I say the bad part is because it's on our behalf, if you begin to mirror how they're treating you to try to show them something, they're going to see the way they've treated you all along is justified. Keep that in mind. When you feel that your words are no longer making an impact and they are leading you into long, tiresome tales that end up with the same results, resolve to be creative in shifting from a preaching point to a meeting point. Write down new ways of action that will convey your point and vow to follow through on those points, even though your temptation is to revert back to the word games. That's where I can show you better than I can tell you comes into place. And sometimes those that don't fully understand it won't realize why you've cut them off or you've stepped back some, because they're not fully aware of themselves. Again, I repeat it again, we're living in an open air mental health facility, and a lot of these individuals don't realize that they are patients. They don't realize that they need some sort of treatment to help them to live, because they don't realize the way that they are living is not functionally conducive to collaboration and peace with other individuals. All they know is this is how I am, and either you're going to accept me or not. And in some cases, the best thing you can do is walk away. And lastly, let your family members, particularly your children, observe you living your philosophy regardless of what they might say. They will respect you for your actions, even if they appear to be critical. If you refuse to stoop to a level of argumentation and defensiveness and simply, with determination, demonstrate your life philosophy, you will come to know the value of that meeting point. Most spiritual houses, and I'll even group religious cults or organizations into that, there's a fine line. I pause there because not all religious aspects teach living what you preach. There are a lot that preach more the talking points, but once you begin to live what you preach, what you study, once you make your spirituality a lifestyle, it drastically changes. And we have to accept that if you're continually getting into it with other people, even though you're moving in light, even if you may be justified to give them the same energy, a lot of the times your light is too bright. Your light shines upon an individual what they may not be ready to step into themselves, even though they know they need to. So you become the symbol of indignation. You become the symbol of hatred that they project to you because they don't want to look at themselves or hate themselves. But the reality is they are not happy with themselves as to why they have to project it to someone else. So once you begin to fully live your lifestyle, your way of peace, your way of living, no matter what it may be. I've told a friend, if you praise the frog and it makes you a better person, ribbit. There has to be a level of power in whatever you are practicing. Now, I'm going to say there are certain facilities that most people are unfamiliar of that just operate no matter what. Your higher self is going to do more for you than you realize. Your ancestors are going to do more for you than you realize. And many a times we're ascribing the blessings of our higher self, which is another part of you that you are aligned with, that guides you in life. Let's just say it's that tiny voice in your head. In most cases, that's your higher self. Your ancestors are opening doors for you that sometimes we ascribe to other entities, beings, or deities that are looking like, I didn't have anything to do with that. The more we begin to understand how much more powerful we are than what we have been taught, the more you will begin to walk into your own power. And it's not always an easy thing. I have to admit to myself where my higher self sometimes tells me to do something, and it will be completely against what I believe or want to do. But when I follow through, the blessings that come are innumerable. The blessings that come cannot be taken away, and it shows me a different level of faith and understanding. So, as today's title was, it was something about action, and I'm going back to look at it because, like I told you, I don't read these beforehand. I've read the book before, but it was so long ago that I might remember some of it consciously, but not, or subconsciously, but not consciously. So, action and doing. It's beautiful to have all the knowledge in the world about every subject and topic, but if you don't use it, what does it matter? You look no different than a crazy man screaming on the streets about all of the things he woulda, coulda, shoulda did. If you have some information, whether you share it to the world or whether you keep it to yourself, utilize it. Let what you do be the proof of what and who you are and what you are about. Those who know my story from the past, that fully know me, know that I'm a completely different person. Those that choose to see me as who I still am and operate with me that way, to where they invoke a certain aspect of me that as a warrior, I'm going to speak up and defend myself. And they see that as, oh, you haven't changed. So you problem, not a me problem, not a us problem, not a we problem, because I know the areas of life that have drastically caused me to shift the way I think, the way I act, and the way I deal with individuals I interact with on a daily basis. So I ask you to walk into a state of action and doing. And always be aware of who you are and who you are around and how they make your energy feel. Because at the end of the day, feeling goes a long way. Your heart and your stomach, to this area, so the combination of your heart and your solar plexus, there's an energy in there that's considered your first mind. When you get that gut feeling, follow it, no matter how distant it may be. Because sometimes you get those gut feelings of nervousness, and that's a good sign. And in other cases, you get them gut feelings that hurt, and you know you shouldn't do it. But the thing is more so knowing yourself, why and how you respond certain ways. So begin to learn that about yourself. And as my shirt says, when your soul speaks, make sure you listen. So, as your soul has spoke to you to listen to this or watch this today, I appreciate you for being here more so for yourself than anything else. I ask that you walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.